Good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's webinar From Ideas to Insights Prompt Engineering Skills Every Executive Needs. I'm Tanisha. I'll be your host for this session. Thank you for all. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today as we explore how business leaders can harness the power of prompt engineering to transform ideas into actionable insights. This session is brought to you by AI CERTs, a global leader in AI education and certification, committed to empowering professionals and enterprises with the skills to thrive in AI-driven world. We are proud to be hosting this session in collaboration with Course Monster, one of the UK's leading training providers, helping organizations and individuals upskilling through high quality industry recognized learning programs. We are truly honored to have Mr. Ashutosh Sharma with us today. Ashutosh is a session technology executive with over 25 years of experience in stabilizing and transforming global capacity centers across industries. His expertise lies in generative AI for business transformation with a focus on responsible, secure, and sustainable AI development. He has a successful led global teams, managed diverse technology portfolios, and today he consults and trains organizations on strategic AI planning and implementations. We are privileged to learn from his deep experience as he helps us uncover how prompt engineering is becoming an essential skill for every executive looking to leverage AI strategically. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Mr. Ashutosh Sharma. Ashutosh, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much. Hi guys. Morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I hope you can hear me all right. So what we will do is we'll have a quick sort of run through the agenda. I'll try to cover as much as I can, given we just have an hour. We will obviously record the session and post the session. Obviously, if you have questions, feel free to drop it here. But if not, then happy to respond to them afterwards. And Kelvin, you want to add anything before we kick off?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for running this seminar. It's going to be the first seminar in a series, free seminar, free 1 hour kind of lunchtime seminar. Bite-sized chunks of into AI. I mean, we've been managing and delivering training to mainly corporate clients, banks, and government and defence for over 25 years now. And we've now teamed up with AI CERTs because our clients have been asking us more and more with regards to AI and the implications of AI in the workplace. And we realized that, and if you need to be using AI to it's not going to take your job over, but you need to use it as a tool within your organization. So we've teamed up with AI CERTs to run these seminars, like a group of seminars, over the next 3 or 4 months. And we hope you find them useful. And now I'll sort of hand you over to Ashutosh, who's going to give us an insight into.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Kelvin. Very important point. Very important point, Kelvin, you added about the human in the loop. So a lot of times we think that AI is just about replacing people. What will happen to my job, to my work? I keep hearing AI will take my role, it will take my livelihood, but nothing can be farther from truth. I have worked in this field for close to 2 years now. My total experience is about 23 years. I spent 20 plus years in technology sector running service operations for a lot of large enterprises. After that, I switched into when I first saw Copilot in action or ChatGPT in action at the Microsoft event in Delhi, in India. That was a sort of a penny drop moment or an eye-opening moment for me when I saw what it could do. And just like most of the people, I also had a thought that it will mean that a lot of the roles, like data analysts, campaign creators, content creators, may actually vanish overnight. This thing was to come out of the bottle. But what I've seen in the last 2 years is that yes, it has taken away some tasks, not job, of people away. Repeatable stuff, mundane stuff, stuff you may not want to do on an ongoing basis. But it has also created a lot of new opportunities for people. It has also become a very important tool for them to enhance their quality of work, give them free time, and allow them to do multiple things, which, you know, without a technology like AI seems impossible to do. So, without further ado, I'll start the session. I'll share my screen. And as I said, please feel free to jump in with your questions. And then, we will take it, either between the session or at the end. So, yeah. Can you see my screen? Is it visible?
Yep, we can see your screen.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, as I said, my name is Ashutosh, based out of Delhi in India. I made a pivot to AI a couple of years, a little bit more than a couple of years back, on the back of, some restructuring, reorganization. I was always interested in learning new technology, but I think that change came as a blessing in disguise for me, and I could see what, as I said, ChatGPT, co-pilots, etc., were doing. So I thought, why not I start learning it and then, start implementing it in my own business. That's where I started. That's my LinkedIn. Happy to connect with you afterwards. So, what we will cover today is predominantly three or four big bullet points. One is definitely, uh, we'll start with basics of what artificial intelligence is, how it has evolved, and how is generative AI different from traditional AI. We would have obviously seen ChatGPT in action, but AI is been around for more than 50 years now, believe it or not. So, all the Netflix stuff you see, all the spam email classification you see, other stuff is happening is dominantly AI in action. But generative AI has been obviously making a lot of noise over the last couple of years. And that's the focus of the conversation today. And why it is popular is it has allowed anybody like you and me to use natural English language to talk to the systems, to talk to the technology stacks, and get the job done. And to do that, we use the concept called prompt engineering. So we will talk about that. It's nothing but how do you communicate with AI? How it's like a portal into the world of AI. So we will quickly spend some time learning what are the frameworks of a good prompt, what's a bad prompt, and how you can master that, the interface between us and the AI system. Then we'll speak about stuff like bias, stuff like ethics, what AI has actually delivered for a lot of companies like Walmart. I'll quickly walk you through an example, and I'm sure if you pick any newspaper, any article today, AI is all over the place. So I don't think I need to sort of hone that point. But we will just quickly talk about what's the framework, how do you deploy it, how do you sort of capture the value for your organization. Then I'll see if I can give a quick demo for how to use a good prompt, how to analyze complex financial statements for a listed company. I tried seeing if I can get results for Commonwealth Bank of Australia, which is a big Australian company, and BHP. So we'll see if we'll have some time. I'll show you how, GPT can help you save hours of time. And then obviously in the end, if there are any questions, happy to stay back, answer them. But if we run out of time for any reason, we will make sure that one of us will get up to you with the answers. Now, okay. So as I said, what's AI? It's like an onion, and you peel layers upon layers. But essentially, AI is the master or the parent system, which has all the technology, all the algorithms, all the sort of the rules and systems in place. What we call today is artificial intelligence is nothing but generative AI here, down here. But it's a term which is often confusing, often mixed with a lot of things. AI is like a discipline. It's like science as a domain, as a discipline. Within that discipline, you get what is called machine learning. And machine learning is nothing but a principle or a subset of AI, which which basically learns from data. And you don't need to explicitly program the machines. You need to give it the data. And one thing which AI is very good at is finding patterns in the data. You know, if you give it data for last 1 year, it can make some predictions. This is the past. It can give you some trends. Data, even somebody is watching Netflix or YouTube or Instagram, that all is data for machine. And it learns that this particular user, for example, is watching certain content, certain content creator, certain type of content. And you would have seen that that same type of content keeps getting pushed to you. That's machine learning in action. And then obviously you feedback a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's a feedback that lets machine know that this author or this viewer is not liking or liking this type of content. That's a very simple example. And then we have something called deep learning. It's again a subset of machine learning, but here rather than learning from just from data, it learns from very complex neural network pattern, and it's mirrored on a human brain. So like our brain, it has neurons and it connects between, internally with each other. It has a lot of complex patterns, which obviously I can't take you through this particular session, but just understand that all your autonomous vehicles like Tesla riding through the streets, image recognition, facial recognition, fraud detection is all deep learning. It happens at a much faster, much deeper sort of rate, and it's the pinnacle of what AI has seen so far. Yeah. So that's the traditional AI ML deep learning sort of okay. Then we have what is the focus of today's conversation is generative AI. It's again a subset of deep learning, but it the word is generative. So what it does is it does not analyze the data. It will generate something for you. It can be text, it can be images. Now it can do music, obviously it can do code and all. So I'm sure most of you would have used ChatGPT. So when you are talking to ChatGPT, the fundamental technology underlying the use is generative AI. It's generating stuff for you, poems, text, video, everything. And then all that generative AI is powered by LLMs. This is nothing but, again, a very large set of data. Imagine somebody took a snapshot of the entire internet, all the websites, all the Reddit conversations, all the videos, the chats, and all of that is publicly available, and trained, large sets of servers to basically consume that data and learn what this type of content is trying to do. So LLMs are foundational models which are built by these large companies like OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, Anthropic, and on these LLMs is the entire generative AI resting today. So each one will build on the previous generation's hard work or the advancements. And essentially from 1950s, when it all started, to where we are, is the whole journey. And sometimes I think it's important to understand it's not a phenomena which has just arisen in the last couple of years, but it has been around more than half a decade. Sorry, half a century. Okay. And as I said quickly, the critical distinction between traditional AI and generative AI is that the older systems will find patterns, it will do analysis, it will do predictions. It is more likely to classify stuff for you, or give you an answer what you're trying to find. Is it true? Is this what's going to happen? How likely is this to happen? What should we be doing to improve our sales? What are the things which happened in the last quarter which help or not help our sales? So it's when you want to take a data-driven decision, you want to do risk assessment, you want to do operational efficiency, kind of improvement planning, then the traditional AI ML are the systems you go to. While generative AI is what will create, as I said. So give me a campaign, uh, review the legal contract, give me some product design, and give me some, these are like my 10 different customer cohorts. Uh, I want to create something unique for them. Something which would have taken you a lot of time, a lot of creativity, a lot of back and forth. AI can at least give you the first very, very quickly. And then on top of that, you can build upon whether it's right, it's something which you should be doing or somebody should be reviewing, and so on and so forth. And to Kelvin's earlier point, that's where the human in the loop comes in, which we will also see in the demo. Um, you should not be outsourcing your thinking to AI. Let AI do the job, not the thinking. Thinking is your human's prerogative. And you will see, when you talk to systems, it can hallucinate, it can give you wrong data. So always have the thinking with you, but let the doing, let the hard yards, the actual paperwork, so to speak, or the analytics, let that happen with AI. That use your sort of thinking and strategy with you. Don't outsource that ever to AI. It's not a good idea. Yeah. Um, so So now that we have covered the foundations of AI, machine learning, what's generative AI, we will just quickly speak about prompt engineering stuff. Again, what we will touch today is a very, very basic stuff. It goes much beyond that. And if you're interested in learning more, then Kelvin and Priya and the team and AI CERTs can obviously help you, guide you towards more detailed conversations and courses around. So what's prompt engineering? It's nothing but the art of communicating effectively with the AI systems. So it's just literally about speaking to the AI system. Now, because it's the only way, so you can prompt with the text, you can prompt with the speech, as a lot of these systems now allow. But end of the day, all you're doing is you're communicating your ask, your question, or your desire to the AI system. And obviously, if you write a bad prompt, you will get a bad answer. So the typical philosophy in AI is garbage in, garbage out. So it's important that you understand that the quality of your questions will multiply your output by 3 to 5x easily. And what is happening? What has happened in the past with people we have seen? Um, People waste a lot of time. They get frustrated with how AI system is not responding to what they want. And often more than not, you will see that it's down to a bad point. It's the system is not getting the context it needs, and that's why it's delivering the vendors. So we will speak about what are the good frameworks of prompt engineering, but I also wanted to spend some time that this is English is the new programming language, as they say now. If you know English, if you can communicate well, if you obviously, not just English, by the way, it's just language. It's about the art of communication. If you can communicate well and communicate well in a structure, then I think it can be a big force multiplier for how you want to take your work, your business forward. And prompt engineering is essentially at the heart of that. Sorry, I'll just give a simple example, and we will hopefully I will have some time during the session to give you a live example of how it works. The bad prompt would be write me a summary. Now, summary of what? What are you trying to do? Who am I? What's the context? It's just like talking to another human being. But if you say, okay, so AI, you are the CFO of the firm. This is my Q4's data. I'm uploading it as an Excel file or a PDF, etc. It's a big file. Now help me with these things. I want to see what are my top 3 profit drivers. What's my outlook for Q1? And give it to me in a 2-page board memo ready format, which I can take and give it to my board. Now, if you were to do this, as a finance manager or as an analyst, I can tell you with guarantee it would have taken at least half an hour to do the job. But we will hopefully see this demo. It can give you, I think, maybe 5 minutes is also too much. But okay, we'll say for the sake of argument, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. It can analyze your data. It can give you all the insights you want and more, format it properly for you, and off you go. So what could have taken maybe half a day or a day's worth of work by somebody in the job now can be done in 5 to 10 minutes. And that's a very, very simple example. I'm sure if you are coming from a marketing background or a HR or a customer service background, you can already see what this thing can do for you, for your customers, and for your teams. Um, so let's talk about the big three um, companies in this space. Actually, it's four. My bad. I should have included Copilot, but since Copilot it can be confusing for a lot of organizations, a lot of people. In the way they are licensed, their subscriptions, and all of that. So I've not included that. But essentially, there are big four players. GPT is obviously the one which all started. OpenAI, Sam Altman's company. Um, they were the ones who were obviously first through the door, and they launched what is called ChatGPT. Now it is GPT-5. But what essentially you will see is that ChatGPT, being the biggest player so far, they have obviously evolved a lot over time. So if you want to do complex reasoning, data analytics, uh, long content creation, uh, and a mix of utilities like get me an image, get me some data analytics kind of work, ChatGPT works best. Uh, since they were first out of the gate, they obviously have a lot of feedback to get from the customers, from the users, early adopters. They have backing of Microsoft. They have obviously huge data to train their models on. And they have taken obviously much, much bigger lead in terms of type of tasks it can do, from content creation till data analytics, from and forms and all of that. Now they have Sora, which can do video as well. I'm sure some of you may have played with that. Um, but that's your market leader today. Claude is by Anthropic. They are backed by Amazon. I think Amazon was slightly later to the party. They did not earlier on realize what this is, what's happening in the marketplace. Claude is your content writer. So if you want good quality content to be read by others, and you want to be sure of the quality, then you go to Claude. Claude is very, very good with documents, with PDFs, with a lot of contextual writing, so to speak, technical writing. And they also have a module called Claude Code. And what Claude Code does is, imagine you're a software engineer and you want to write a code. Just explain to Claude in simple language what you want to achieve, and it can give you very, very, quality code written, and you will be surprised to see the quality of the code. And obviously, more you feed it with your architecture, with your pattern, with how your organization works, better it gets over periods. So, as I said, if you want complex analytics of documentation, legal stuff, um, overall writing, go to Claude. You will not be disappointed. Um, Gemini from Google is again, obviously, Google, also just like Claude, was a little bit late to the party, but you'll be surprised to see that Google has made a lot of uh, so they have sort of moved very quickly into the space. Google, obviously, that they contain or they own all of the internet's data. Most of the search terminates at Google. They had a lot of the data. And if you want to combine text and images, if you want to create videos, if you want stuff to, have real-time internet access and get the data, then Gemini is for you. Obviously, If you are a Gemini or a Google customer, you are using their workspace, you're using their Gmail and all of that Google Drive, then Gemini comes to you by default. It has good integration with the Google ecosystem, and obviously can access the internet also. So those three different products with three different but overlapping strengths. Obviously, they catch up with each other all the time. It's not that Google is sitting and watching Claude and GPT take the lead. They will obviously try to evolve over a period of time. But as of today, I think all three models are good at different things, but best is what I've just spoken about. And Copilot, I will just quickly touch. If some of you are in the Microsoft ecosystem in your organization or at your personal work, personal front, Copilot is Microsoft's sort of take on GPT. Earlier, they had their own models. Now, I think they are using GPT-5. It's good, but I'm yet to be sort of, let's say, mesmerized by its capabilities of creating visuals, video, or just doing complex analysis. It's good if you're integrated with Microsoft Office, for example. If you want to have quick edits on a PPT or an analytics on Excel, but I think Copilot has still it's an underdog. It will evolve, I'm sure, over a period of time. But right now, I think people will by default, uh, go to either ChatGPT or a Claude or a Gemini. So we spoke about the LLMs or the chat models, and we spoke about brief about the prompts. Now let me quickly walk you through what three different types of prompts are. Um, there are other types of prompts as well, but for the sake of simplicity and conversation here, I will just quickly talk about three top techniques. One is zero shot prompting. Uh, as you see this zero shot. See, basically, what it is doing is you are going to the your LLM or GPT chat model, and you are giving it direct instructions. You are not setting any context. You're not giving it any role. You're not giving it any background. All you're doing is you're saying, take this report and give me three bullet points, on what this report is talking about. And it could be, I don't know, 50 pages report. So when your task is simple, give me a poem for my niece who is turning 10, analyze this document and summarize it in one page. Zero shot works best. You don't need to give any context. You don't need to give any background. It is just, this is what I need, just do it, kind of thing. On the other hand, you will see sometimes that the model is not giving you what you want. It's either hallucinating or it's sort of deviating from the from what core requirement is. Then what you do, you say, okay, let me give you two, three examples of what I want you to do. And then in the fourth or the fifth example, you give me something back. For example, I am a content creator, or I am I don't know, marketing manager. And I'll say, okay, this is how my product is described. Uh, this is my brand voice. This is this is a look and feel of what we do on the internet or in the social media. Now, given what you understand about my product description and my brand voice, give me something which matches my style. Now, you will see that obviously you can do it with zero shot. You could just write, you can just say to the chat, to the model to say, give me one uh, brand statement for my product, which is this. Can give you, you may like it, you may not like it, but if you give it examples to say, this is what has really worked, this is what we have really liked in the past, this is what has, gone, sort of, given me good results, then it will know that this is what has worked. Let me give something on the same lines. It's also like, for example, if you're reviewing your LinkedIn or your Instagram post, you see a pattern. You see that when I'm posting or when I'm creating content on a certain topic, I'm posting it on a certain date and time, or I'm doing something unique, then that post or that content is getting the likes. If I'm doing it on a maybe on a Sunday, written, the language is not that great, whatever the variables are, you will see the result is not that great. So similarly, you need to train the model. You need to tell it what is good and what is not so good, and explicitly ask it to follow the good and the standards you've set for yourself. That's the few shot prompting. You give it few shots, you give it examples, and you basically then ask us to follow the example and give you the output. Then is the chain of thought prompting. Now, sometimes you may have heard about hallucination, or you may have heard about AI giving make up stuff. It's I don't even know what it is talking, right? It's just making up stuff on its own. So when the stakes are high, when you are doing complex analysis or you have to, let's say, enter a new market, to launch a new product, or you want to assess implications of a decision at a bigger scale, um, it's best to have a chain of thought prompting. And what it essentially is that you ask AI to explain itself to you. So you say, this is me. For example, this is me. This is my product. And this is the market I want to get into. Now help me understand let's analyze the market data. Let's see who the competitors are. What are the emerging patterns in the market? What's the pricing points? What are the different, what's the competition like, supply, demand, and all of that? And use a certain sequence of thinking and reasoning to get to an answer. And explain to me how you thought this through, because you want to back up your decision. So you will see a lot of times ChatGPT, especially, and obviously Claude and Gemini now also, something called reasoning or thinking models modes available. That's what is happening in the chain of thought content. So what it is doing is it's taking a little bit longer. It's taking the methodological or a research approach, and what it is doing is giving you a step by step auditable sort of decision making process, and it's sharing its thoughts with you. And I will see if I can give you a good example of it right away in the chat window. Yeah, you see this. I'm hoping my screen is still visible. So you see this extended thinking and research in Claude. So that's nothing but a chain of thought sort of process. It's giving you um, extended thinking, extended research capabilities to get you to an answer and explaining it to you with logic of what it means, why it has taken a decision like that. Similarly, in ChatGPT, now it's obviously ChatGPT 5, but there were models called 4O or 3O. They are all reasoning models. Wherever you have O in ChatGPT, they are all reasoning models. And that's what they do. They think, they react, reason, act, reason and act is called react. These are those models. So that's your chain of thought prompting. Um, sorry, let me share it again. Yeah, I hope that's clear. Five principles of what we were just talking about is it is the prompt engineering. We saw zero shot, few shot, chain of thought. But essentially, what you are looking to do is giving it a direction. You are giving it a role. If you're giving it some sort of background, so to speak. So first thing first, give it a direction. Don't leave it ambiguity. Don't assume AI will understand. Direction is extremely important. Uh, as I said, providing very, very clear, very specific instructions, no ambiguity, and if possible, define the role. Yeah. Then what do you want in the output? Do you want it in a table? Do you want it in a draft? Should it be an email? Should it be a one pager? What is it that you expected from the system? Please make sure that you clarify that. Then examples, we saw the few shot example, few shot model. You give it some reference, show what goods look like. This is what it will help AI to learn more from the past, from the examples you are sharing. It helps it sort of improves over a period of time. So if you show it what good looks like or what not so good looks like, it will remember that. Then it's very important to assess the output. So in the context of what you're trying to do, how good is the output? You should assess it. You should see, yeah, this is meeting my standard, this is not meeting my standards, and you should refine it over a period of time. And then obviously, if it's finally, if it's a very, very big task, then you break it down into complex requests. AI is not very good if you feed it a lot of things all together. And, sometimes it's better to break down the tasks into smaller tasks before, otherwise it can overwhelm the system. So DEF-Q is what we will, if you want to have an acronym, DEF-Q, which is direction, example, format, task division, and quality evaluation. That's just remember that, if nothing else, in this session. So let's see if we can do that. These are two different prompts. This is this is again, as I said to you, create a marketing plan for my B2B SaaS business. So without the AI understanding what your B2B SaaS business is about, there's no context, there is no scope boundaries as to for how long do you want the plan for. There is no format, there's no output, and there is no quality criteria. Like it should meet a certain standard, it should be it is set for certain type of audience, and so on and so forth. So it will give you a very, very generic and hopefully, unusable output. And then you will spend a lot of time editing it just to make sure that it's to the right standards. But if you use those five principles, the DEF-Q we spoke about, so what you're doing is you are saying you act as a CMO for a B2B SaaS company. Now you're giving it a role, you are giving it a direction, and you want Q1 marketing plans. You're not looking for the entire year's plan, just one quarter. So what is it? Three target customer segments. My small, medium customers, my home customers, etc. Whatever the customers are. Then what do you want? You want two campaigns for every segment with channel and budget allocation strategy. And also, how should I know that the campaign is successful? What are the metrics I should be chasing? And how do you want the output? Do you want it in an executive summary or do you want it in a detailed plan? And if you have a previous successful plan, as I spoke about, the few shot prompting, give it something from the past. If possible, it's always better. But if not, then obviously, totally understandable. What's the focus? I want to do a lead generation and pipeline acceleration, not brand awareness. So just make sure that it understands that. And also, you're giving it a boundary to say that if the content exceeds 3 pages, then you should present it as a slide deck, not as a document. So now I'm sure you will see the difference in the output. I invite most of you to try this prompt in your ChatGPT if you have one open. I can also see if I can do it. But essentially, what you are seeing here is is a definition between not so good and a world class. And all it is doing is following those five principles of, you're defining the role, you're giving it a direction, you're setting some examples, you're giving it a format, what I want, you want some quality criteria, and you want boundary. This is all I want, nothing more, nothing less. The more explicit and more clear you are with AI, the better it is for obviously everybody. Okay, that's a quick example. Key takeaways. I think first it's first make sure, first thing to understand is that prompt engineering is nothing but an interface between us and the AI system. It's that bridge. It's that portal. If you can master the skill between you and AI, that can unlock immense value for you. And what I've shown you today is just a tip of the iceberg, not even the tip. It's a very, very simple example. It goes much, much beyond that. We do like a proper 5 business days course just on AI and prompt engineering. You can imagine how deep it goes. Obviously, better prompts equal to better results. You will see it in a minute. I'll give you some demos. Essentially, that's what it is doing. Garbage in, garbage out. So it's quality stuff in, quality stuff out. And remember the 5 principles, the def Q I spoke about, around direction, format, examples, quality. And then finally, human judgment. You are in control. It's your product, it's your task. You just don't blindly copy and share what AI has generated. Review it. Think how will people, you know, understand it, read it, comprehend it. Is it saying the right thing? Is it speaking in your brand voice? If it's not making, I hope it's not making the stuff up. It's backed by data. So make sure your judgment as a team member, as a leader, is there throughout the whole journey. It's not to replace your judgment, your strategic thinking. It's to complement it. I think a lot of times we forget that very critical aspect. We think if it's generated by AI, it must be good. It is good, but it's always, always better to have that human, judgment and interface in the whole work. Okay, so where is the AI adoption today? I think a lot of this is McKinsey's report. I'm sure there are other news items you keep hearing about 50% projects not going from POC to live, or 30% projects fail past the pilot stage. What's happening? You might think there is a lot of hype, lot of noise around AI, Nvidia, OpenAI, and all these companies, but why it is not delivering value? What am I missing? Right? It's a very paradoxical kind of situation. But I think what I've seen is that it's not about technology. Uh, we all know technologies can do wonders. We all have seen it, whether it's simple chatbots to advanced conversational AI chatbots. There is the capability. I think where we fail is dominantly, I call it as an expectation bubble, that we think, or electric chair phenomena, that somehow when we deploy AI, things will magically, sort of start behaving, in a much better manner. It's not going to happen without you. Your involvement, your leadership, and your sponsorship is extremely important for any initiatives, and AI is no different than that. What AI is is sort of struggling from is this bit. The implementation is poor. Change management, which is how do you apprehend the people's fears? How do you train them? How do you coach them, guide them that this is your co-pilot, not your substitute? Um, and are we spending a lot of time in understanding the business problem? I have worked with a lot of customers, and what I've seen, I was speaking to actually a couple of them last week, and they said, we have got 100 co-pilot licenses. Can you please help us justify that? That investment. And I'm like, yes, I can, but why did you buy it in first place? And it was that fear of missing out, that's FOMO. Everybody's doing AI, let's buy something, let's deploy something. Then they don't know what's the use. Please be don't that, so you understand the context. Please don't be that customer. Make sure that you really, really understand your processes, your pain points, your problem areas where you want AI to help. do a proper deep dive, discovery, invite consultants to come in and work with you, and take it one step at a time. I think there's a massive FOMO, there's a massive uh, hype in the market that AI can come in and magically turn things around. I sometimes blame even these organizations in doing this because obviously their future and revenues depend on it. But just like any other project you will do, just like you will deploy SAP, you will deploy Microsoft Outlook or 365, this is a technology adoption as much as a program adoption or a people and culture adoption. So take time, do it properly, coach your people, train them, make them AI literate, AI aware. That's non-negotiable. And then approach it just like any other large project. Just imagining that AI adoption will magically do something, I think that's wishing for something which is impossible today. Also, I think quickly a couple of points from my side on this one that I think a lot of people get into the bushes of complexity around technology. They think, wow, it's big data. I don't know where I'll get it from, the quality of data. Uh, you don't need to understand the, let's say, the as I said, neural network architecture or how the whole, mechanics of the system works. It's like I give it like the analogy of driving a car. To drive a car, you need to know how to drive the car. You don't need to know how the engine works, except if you know, obviously, the transmission, the fuel mechanism, and combustion. But you don't need to know all of that. All you need to know is I need to get things right at the front. This is my vehicle. This is how I need to drive safely, securely. So, and I think what I'm seeing is that a lot of people are uh, getting into this whole technology sort of bubble. They're talking big data. They will talk machine learning. They will talk neural networks, robotics, and all. But I think you should just sort of go one step up and say, okay, what does big data means? It means it can do pattern recognition for my processes, for my people, for my data at an impossible scale of humans. It can do a lot of things for me if I have the good quality data. Similarly, machine learning, deep learning, again, big tech words, but what you should be thinking is these are systems that can improve with experience. It can self-learn. Uh, you don't need somebody to feed the data to them. And over a period of time, it will improve your business, your profits, your outputs. And similarly for, transformers, GPT and all, no. It's an interface between human and AI. And how can you and your teams master this as a concept? So I hope this sort of gives you some example of different level of thinking, different ways of thinking. But end of the day, it's all about the context and your sort of levels of thinking. Think what it can do for business and not just about technology or data or machine. And also, I think, as I said, it's a journey. So don't think that things will happen over a period of a few weeks or few days. It takes time. You have to optimize first. You have to first see what are the low-hanging fruit, what are the quick wins, what is it that we can do quickly, the rule-based stuff, stuff which people hate doing, all of that. Do it in the first 3 to 6 months, and it has a good success rate. I do a lot of these workflow automation using Make, N8N, or LangChain, etc. And these can give you good value very quickly. Then you say, okay, now that I have that foundation, I have that sort of that platform. What can I do more? And that's your augmentation. Um, can I do, like, for example, I was working with a contact center customer and they were struggling with this employee churn. I said, somebody joins, they leave in like 6 months, then I get somebody in, they take another 3 months to train and then off they go. So we built a good knowledge management system for them using generative AI. Now it can obviously any newcomer can come in and chat with it and know what the customer is asking, or even better, build an autopilots or auto co-pilots. So again, now that you have proven it, you have the data, you have the insight, you have the process, go with that. Then finally go for big ticket items. You want to transform the whole end to end value chain. You want to build AI first products, recommendation engines, autonomous robots and all. This is a big leap. This is where I think a lot of struggle, lot of challenges are. This is nothing to do with generative AI, by the way. These are traditional AI systems or neural network systems. This, I will say, do it only once you're done stage one and two. And what you will see, and you may be correlating it now, that where you work today, or even in you in person, you may want to learn and do the stage three first without doing the stage one. And that's where most of us fail. Phase three is very shiny. It looks very exciting from outside. You want to build a lot of these good for the stock market from your company's sort of brand value. But this is where most of the challenges, most of the failures are. So just keep that in mind that it's a evolution. Don't jump to stage three before doing stage one. Um, and that's sort of taking time. I think we're just about 7 minutes in more. Quickly, this is what Walmart did, not by me, but I think what this is one example is that they spent about 2 years. They invested about $500 million to do a lot of tech stuff, infrastructure, people, landing the change, and doing this iterative refinement. We keep talking about. Do one small thing, then you build on top of that, then you build on top of that. So what they did is basically they did an inventory management system, and it's AI. It's not generative AI, by the way. It's just the traditional AI, and it helped them make inventory more accurate, remove out of stock incidents by 30%, and so on and so forth. So again, the results were that you still need human drivers, you still need cashiers, you need store operators, you need people to do the supply chain, but you know it improved their business. If they were not doing this, they would still be, I don't know, 18 to 20,000 people organization. But now they are at 20,000 plus AI, but with a better margins, better growth, and better customer satisfaction or a customer experience. That's the important part. Yeah, and I think finally I'll say I just can't sort of uh, impress upon this point that this is about complementing humans. It is not about replacing them. Yes, some tasks, some roles may disappear, um, but if you think about it, it will also create new roles. So plan for uh, processes which are more hybrid, which is more human and AI, and not just total entire automation day one. ROI is real, so you invest time, you invest effort, but it needs patience. You should budget at least for 1 to 2 years before you see uh, good results in a complex implementation like the transformation you spoke about. Um, and yeah, technology is just the 20%. I think it's about people and process and how they adopt, what we speak to them, how we speak to them, how's the leadership landing the change. It's equally important. And iterate. You start small, you do quick repetitive automation, you move from there to more knowledge-based chatbot, and then move over, to the bigger sexy stuff, so to speak. So that's it. And quickly, I think I should speak about it. Bias and fairness. Now, as I said to you, if you remember at the start of the session, we said AI is trained on internet's data. And internet is nothing but human data. All our opinions, all our comments, all our inherent biases are there in that data. So those biases are also sort of pivoted into the AI systems today. So if you ask ChatGPT to create an image of a working professional, it's more likely than not it will create a white male, rather than a female. Although the prompt you gave is give me a human worker. So that's the bias. Then, Amazon's famous example of they sort of scrapped their AI tool in 2018. Why? So what happened here was that Amazon trained its model of the recruitment tool, giving it all the candidates it selected. Okay. So let's say there were 1,000 people who were working in Amazon. It fed all those 1,000 people's CV to the AI tool. That look, this is what a good looks like. This is the people we have hired. Now I will give you 1,001 CV. Now you tell me whether it's good or not. So what was happening was that because they had a gender bias in their original 1,000 people hiring basis, there were like 90% males in that training data. What AI did was, if you were feeding it any female CV, it was rejecting it automatically, or it was just, you know, only getting 1 out of 10. Why? Because it recognized that the original 1,000 people, 900 are male. That means I have to focus on that part unknowingly, right? It's not that somebody explicitly told the tool to sort of focus on those, only for male, but it saw a pattern. And that pattern was because of a bias in Amazon's hiring and so on and so forth. So knowingly or unknowingly, the system picked up that bias. So that's the point. So be very, very clear that systems, there are biases, there are challenges with the data. It's again, end of the day, it's a human input. So make sure when you deploy AI, you do bias audits. There are human oversight. That's why human oversight is again very important. And the training data is diverse. You just don't feed it just the human, let's say let's say the male candidates. So give it more diverse, more representative data. So that's it. And then I think transparency and accountability. Again, you should be able to explain how AI has taken a decision. For example, a lot of banks, they do these loan approval, loan education systems, which are AI, and they were declining uh, specific racial background people in the US. Again, because of the bias in the system. So again, that was scrapped. You should be able to explain why I'm not able to give a loan to somebody. Is it because of their race, color, or income background, or the postcode of where they live in the city? Again, those biases were there in the original data, and they sort of passed on to the AI system. So make sure that your systems don't do that, and it's an evolution. It doesn't happen overnight. So I think that's me. I will quickly. I know I'm short of time. Sorry. Can I? Is there any question first of all before I quickly jump to the demo? Um,
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question.
yeah.
With regards to all the different AI platforms, Copilot, ChatGPT, etc., and the ones you just mentioned, do they share any data at all across the databases, or have they all built their AI completely from scratch?
Yeah, so the foundation models are built by each of them, Kelvin. So ChatGPT had their own weight and foundation data. So we'll have Claude and Gemini. They don't share data with each other, but your data, like for example, if you upload a report, if you prompt or you speak to somebody, that they can technically use to make their models better over a period of time. So that's a choice you make to say, don't either you want to use my training data to make your models better or not. But we don't intershare the training or the base core data.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So if you go to here, ChatGPT, if you go to settings, you go to I think data controls. So improve the model for everyone is set to on for me because I don't do a lot of sensitive work here. But you can switch it off to say that you don't use my data to train you. Some people are like enterprises. You will see that they will switch it off. But that's the reason. So yeah. Any other question?
No, I don't believe there's any more questions at the moment, but that was very informative. And so thank you very much for that, Ashutosh.
Thank you. You're welcome. So what we will do is I will try to share some sample prompts with some of you. I don't have the data, but the team can share that. But let me see if I can quickly run a prompt of just we spoke about the finance. I know we are just over time, but let me see. Let's say I use this prompt. I go to ChatGPT and I give it a prompt, right? And I say I add files. I go to my desktop. This was, I think, BHP or Commonwealth Bank of Australia. Now, this is a big document. Let me show you how big that is. Yeah, this is 150 pages document. This is just I just downloaded before the call, right? It's a lot of data. Now, if I go to ChatGPT and somehow say, you know what, so you act as a CFO representing the board, analyze this, the stats, uh, financials, yeah, just top three drivers, right? And I just say go. Now, obviously, it will do the review. I've set the context. I've given it what I want. So, what it has taken, what, 30 seconds or 1 minute. It can, obviously, it has given you a quick summary of whole results, like what's my variance? This is my variance. Sorry, we are down by 1.5%. What are my profitability drivers? Lending growth, margin, with Commonwealth Bank. And then what are my cash flow requiring attention? Q1. So just in like 30 seconds, it ingested a 150 page document and gave me the results. Now, if I, let's say, go to Claude and I give it the same data, uh, and I just give a very bad prompt, say, analyze this data, tell me what is it about. Let's see. Now, because I've not given it any context, it can run into any direction. It can keep, uh, you know, it can give me a lot of details which I may not need, and it can give a very high level summary. So it will still give me the summary, but I think it will keep going on, and I may not need all of that data. So it's same files, two different models, two different prompts. Okay, financial highlights, returns, important date, that's it. While if you go to ChatGPT, it has given me variance analysis, it can given me the drivers, what has led to this variance, what are my top drivers, uh, what's my concerns, because I asked that question. And if I don't ask, it's just going to give you what it thinks is the right thing. So that's just a quick sort of snapshot of what a good prompt or a bad prompt can do with the data. Same data, even if I put the same bad prompt in ChatGPT, that's going to give me the equally bad answer. So that's just a quick demonstration. I'm sorry we ran out of time, but there's a lot of things which obviously you can create. You can sort of you see the iterate it over a period of time. But I hope that gives you a good example. So with that, I think that's me done. Any other questions? Happy to take them offline. But thank you so much for listening to me for 1 hour on a Wednesday afternoon for your time. It was a pleasure, and I look forward to engaging more with you in the coming days.
Thank you so much, Ashutosh, for that insightful session. I'm sure our audience has gained a much clearer understanding of how prompt engineering can empower executives to drive smarter, faster, and more strategic outcomes through AI. Now we'd love to hear from our audience. If you have any questions, please drop them in the QA sections and we'll take few of them live with Ashutosh. Thank you for those thoughtful questions, and thank you Ashutosh for sharing such practical insights. Before we wrap up, I'd like to remind everyone that the recording of today's session and your participation certification will be shared with you shortly over email. To learn more about upcoming sessions and certification programs, please visit aicerts.io or check out our course at Course Monsters training catalog from more AI and technology learning opportunities. Thank you once again for joining us today. Stay curious, keep learning, and we look forward to seeing you in our next webinar. Have a great day. Thank you all.